Now, we all have our own reasons to learn a foreign language and to invest time into a project that can be really difficult and really rewarding. But as I've looked over the internet and kind of journaled about this a bit, I think there are really only five main reasons to learn a foreign language. And I'm not going to discuss like the actual benefits of learning that language. So if you were learning Swedish, for example, I'm not going to say, oh, you can go live in Sweden. I'm going to give you five actual reasons that are outside of the language you're learning that are just good for why anyone should learn a language. And if you stick around to the end, I'm also going to give you a bonus tip on staying consistent as a language learner if you're living a busy life and it's kind of hard to do tasks every single day. I've got a really, really good tip that can actually help you stay locked in. So let's go. The first reason is the self-improvement drive. And if you don't know what that means, don't worry, I'm going to explain why this is actually really good. So learning a language makes you want to actually improve as a person, I've found. And this is really good because a lot of people, whether it's through comfort, through, high dopamine foods, social media, a bunch of different things, they actually don't want to improve as people anymore. They no longer want to actually become better and become smarter, healthier, etc. And I think when you do something as difficult and long term, and it's not a difficult process, it's simple but overcomplicated and it takes a lot of discipline, but it is doable. And once you actually do something of that nature, you feel like you can achieve anything. You actually want to improve as a person. You probably want to learn a third language and a fourth language, and you just enjoy becoming better as a person. And I think this is a really crucial skill to life success. Other than the fact it feels really fulfilling, you need to be able to improve as a person. And language learning actually makes you want to improve in all areas of your life. I can say this isn't just based on studies and stuff. I can say for myself, as someone who's learning their third language currently, it is actually it's not just rewarding to learn a language. It actually makes you, it kind of reignites a fire and makes you want to continue learning and becoming better because you've already done one thing. Why not keep doing things and become an even smarter and better person? And I think a really unfortunate truth of life is that a lot of people actually, they leave the school system, maybe they go to uni, so if it's uni, they leave that as well. And then after that, they basically never learn anything again, really, for the rest of their lives. Like, they'll learn where to put the keys or whatever at their job. They'll learn the code for the alarm, but that doesn't count. They're not actually learning any important long-term, like, they're not learning any complicated technical tasks. Like, it's a very rare event where people would actually, I think most people don't even read. How many people do you know that actually read when they don't need to? They actually pick up, I've got books behind me right now, I don't know if you can see that, but most people don't even read. And I just think that's a really, really bad state for our society to be in. And the last thing I will say on the self-improvement drive is self-directed deep work. So I've already made a video where I mentioned this. I'll have it linked in the description below. But self-directed deep work is basically a type of work. So you've got deep work and shallow work. Shallow work is tasks like checking emails, that kind of thing. Deep work is very intellectually stimulating tasks like, for example, recording videos, language learning, studying, etc. And then, of course, you've got tasks that you're told to do and tasks that you decide to do. Of that quadrant, if you imagine, there's deep work tasks that are self-directed, and that's what language learning is. And doing those self-directed deep work tasks are really, really good for you. I won't say any more on that now. You can check out the video afterwards. I'll have it pop up at the end and linked in the description. The second thing is that language learning does, in fact, improve your brain. This isn't something that, people make up after they do something difficult to try and justify how much time they invested. Learning a language and learning in general is a skill that most people don't have. And once you've actually done something as difficult as learning a language, you not only become proficient in that language, but you become more proficient at learning languages and more proficient at learning full stop. And if you think about it, there aren't many skills that are more important than learning. Like, there's, speaking skills, social skills. Learning would be up there in the top five, if not the top five, the top 10 most important skills a human being or even an animal could have. Otherwise, they'd die. So I think most people don't actually have particularly good learning skills. And I am going to point the finger at the school system here, which might seem, hang on, why is school's where people learn the most stuff? Unfortunately, that is true. School is where people learn the most stuff, but that's not because it's particularly good at teaching people. That's just because people don't learn anything after school, as we established previously. So I think most people don't really know how to teach themselves stuff when required. They don't actually know how to evolve as people. And once you've done this kind of work where, okay, you need to set short-term goals, you need to achieve them, you need to organize, you need to stay consistent. This teaches you a lot of learning skills that are crucial for actually becoming better. And I'll bring it back to that concept of deep work versus shallow work that we mentioned before. Most people's lives are 99%, if not 100%, shallow work. When they're working, that is. Obviously, they do things that aren't work. Their work lives are very, very much shallow work. And this just isn't good for your brain, particularly when the things you're doing when you're not working are like consuming short form content, etc., being sleep deprived. It's just not good for your brain. So when you do put in a lot of effort to learning something completely foreign, it is a workout for your brain. You become better at learning things, and you're overall more intelligent. You're using more parts of your brain, and your brain is just better. It becomes more adept at learning things. It's called neuroplasticity, I believe, the brain's ability to change depending on circumstances and that kind of thing. So, number 3, confidence slash self-belief. We're moving a little bit away from the academic side to it, but I do think this is very important to address. So once you have learnt a language, once you've set yourself that huge goal, you spent years grinding away at it to become proficient or reach whatever level you want in the language, you become the kind of person that can do anything. You know within yourself that you can set yourself a difficult task, stay disciplined, stay consistent, and eventually achieve it. And once you actually do achieve this really difficult and really rewarding goal, you feel unstoppable. You become someone that really can't be held back by anything. I think a lot of people have what's called a fixed mindset. If you haven't heard of that before, definitely subscribe to the channel because we do mention that a fair bit. But a fixed mindset is effectively you don't believe that you can do something. You don't believe results come from hard work you've invested. You think people have like luck or natural talent when they're able to do something really cool. And that's actually not true. The reality is the growth mindset, which is that you can achieve anything if you do put effort into it and invest time into it. And once you do go from someone who can't speak, for example, I have no Russian family. I knew no Russian or any Italian or anything or any language before I started learning foreign languages. My family only speaks English, unless you go very, very distant. They only speak English. And then when I taught myself this stuff, it was weird because now I can say things that my family doesn't understand, and I can read things that I couldn't read before because I put in a lot of time. And that really kills a lot of beliefs that you might have that you can't actually do things because you've literally proven to yourself that you can do something so difficult that you couldn't do a lot. And in my opinion, a lot of people actually surrender their self-belief, whether it's from social media, seeing people that have lots of really cool stuff, but not seeing the process and the effort they actually invest to get it, or the fact that people are constantly lying on social media and that kind of thing. It really destroys a lot of people's self-belief, and they don't believe they can actually improve when they put effort in, and this definitely wins it back. So that's number 3. The 4th thing I will say is freedom, and this is a bit of an interesting one. I don't think you should spend all of your life in one country. I know there are going to be people who disagree with that. I'm not saying you have to move countries every 10 years. I'm not saying you have to take a holiday every single week or anything. I'm just saying I don't think you should spend all of your life in only one place when the world is such a big place and you can meet so many different people, experience so many different cultures, which is why I think everyone should learn the language of at least one other country and spend some time there. Yes, you can visit countries that don't speak your language and go for a holiday there or even live there sometimes without any difficulty, but it's not the same thing because you're not truly experiencing the other culture. It's kind of like someone playing a sport in your sports team, but they don't know the rules, and so they're kind of running around trying to do stuff, but they're not really involved. Once you actually learn a language, you can truly kind of enter that country and actually talk to people. Once you actually do this, you'll understand what I mean when you travel somewhere and you're able to actually talk to people in a completely different language. It's almost like there's a quote about you having a second soul, and I think that's definitely true. So in the age of people who are able to work from their laptop and can actually technically live anywhere provided they're doing work, I'd highly recommend you do try living in various countries. Like, it's extremely cheap in Asia and some places in Europe, depending on where you go. I'm personally planning on going to Thailand or Bali soon, so we'll have to see how that one goes. But yeah, it is really good, and obviously most people can't do that. So if you can't do that, it's good to just take a holiday here and there to other countries. It's a very good investment of your money rather than putting it into dumb shit or whatever people waste their money on. Traveling is a really good thing. Spending money on experiences is a really good thing to do. And yeah, even if you can't travel just yet, just consuming content in another language can still make you feel more free. So overall, I think freedom is a big thing. It's definitely a big thing for me. Now, the 5th thing I'll say is ego. And this might get some people clicking off the video because it's a bit less wholesome, but I do think it is important to mention and just to kind of address. People do obviously respect someone who can speak another language. I know when I applied for a job recently and had an interview for it, I had on my resume, I don't know why this was on there, I think it was just in the template I used, but I had the fact that I can speak multiple languages, and my the person conducting the interview, who became my boss, was very impressed at that. And like, obviously, I wasn't lying. I didn't say I spoke 18 languages. I said I spoke 3, with the third one I'm still learning it. But yeah, he was impressed by that, because it's impressive when someone is able to be, when someone's very, very skilled at something. It's like if you were talking to someone, you found out they were a neurosurgeon, you'd naturally respect their intelligence, because it's something that such a small percent of the population can do. And although speaking a second language isn't like very rare, it is a cool thing, and it does get respect. It's a conversation starter. It's, you can be seen as someone, particularly if you're like if you live in a white country, for example, and you can speak languages that are of different countries, whoever you're talking to can obviously tell that you didn't natively speak them, so that they know that you're capable of actually learning very difficult things. So if they can see that you're someone who's taught themselves a language when they weren't just speaking it naturally, that's an even greater sign of intelligence, because it's someone that's disciplined. It's someone that is actually capable of evolving as a person. And I do think that is a really good thing to have. It is really fulfilling. It does nourish the ego a little bit when you know you're capable of a lot of really hard, intelligent work. So yeah. Now, for a bonus, if you did stick around to the end, a bonus tip on staying consistent for people who are really busy. Here's what I recommend. You need to do one thing first thing every single day. So I understand when you are incredibly busy, it is difficult to do language learning. Oftentimes you'll set yourself tasks and then cross them out because you just don't have time to do them. And that's me. Trust me, that's me. I'm so busy constantly. I understand what it's like. I haven't even been able to do as much language learning in the last probably 2 weeks as I'd like. And that makes me frustrated, because I'm supposed to be teaching about this stuff and I haven't done, I've only done maybe a few hours each week, which I prefer to do more. However, it is possible to do something every day. And when you fall into the habit of missing days here and there and not doing stuff, even if there is a legitimate reason, like you're getting up at, 8 and then going to bed at like midnight, that kind of thing. I know people who do that, by the way. You know who you are if you're watching this. But yeah, that is just it. You fall into the habit of not doing stuff, and then you start to feel emotionally down, simply because you're not consistently doing stuff. You don't feel good enough. You don't feel as if you're making progress. And the best way to kill that, even when you're busy, is to just do one thing every single day, the first thing. So we're going to do what's called eating the frog. It's a weird analogy. It's basically that if you had to eat a frog or do something difficult, it's better to do it first than last. And so what we're going to do is we're going to try and do one thing, basically first thing, every single morning, even if it's small. So it could be watching one 5-minute vlog. It could be doing one deck of flashcards. It could be reading one page. It could be writing one page. It could be anything. It could be listening to 2 songs in the foreign language. Just doing one little thing every single day. It could be Duolingo lesson. I wouldn't recommend that, but that is better than nothing, objectively. So when you do one thing every single day, you do feel as like you're getting somewhere, even if it's only one little thing and you're not making that much progress. And every single win does add up to be one big win over time. So if you're busy, give yourself one small task that you can do every single day, no matter what. You can do one thing that takes 5 minutes. There's no reason why you can't. If you can't, it's a question of discipline or organization, not a question of you being busy. And yeah, if you are interested in actually becoming a better language learner, definitely check out the language learning accelerator in the description below. We've had fantastic results from students. It's really good, and I would highly like to see you in there. So thank you for watching. Make sure to subscribe and have a good one.